So, come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You've got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Happy Tuesday to you here at Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. Early start today. We got football practice today, so appreciate Jay for making it work with the parental duties this morning. And Jay, about 2 seconds before we went on, I coughed and lost my voice, so you're gonna have to take over here for a minute while I have a cough here. But it's Tuesday, a lot going on. Football practice. Ashton Jeanty's Pro Day tomorrow. Good chat with Erik Chinander yesterday. So how we doing, Jay?
I'm good, man. Yeah, big day tomorrow, Pro Day. And this is going to be one of the biggest ones that we've seen in quite some time at Boise State. It'll be fun, and all eyes are going to be on Ashton Jeanty, and because of that, all eyes are going to be on his former college teammates as well.
And that is a cool side story to this. You're going to get some of these guys, getting more of a look, and we'll see how much more of a look they really get. A lot. We've been there, Jay. Sometimes the guys are there to watch Ashton. They're not really paying attention to all the other guys, but you never know. Maybe they'll have the running backs go last, so those guys have to stick around and see. But I know Ahmed Hassanin is a guy that certainly people know about and they're going to be there to see, and certainly can't hurt that Ahmed Hassanin is going to be getting a chance. But I'm putting the over under at 2.5 for the NFL head coaches that are going to be there tomorrow. What would you take the number 2.5 NFL head coaches at Pro Day?
Well, first off, that would be a massive number because we haven't recently seen that. That's for sure. And last year's
should be the number. I don't know.
What was that?
Maybe 1.5 should be the more realistic number.
I mean, if there is a head coach in Boise tomorrow, that's a storyline. Let's just, if it's 2.5, if there's 2, 3 here, wow, like that's big time.
Pete Carroll, if you're the Raiders and you're really thinking about taking him at number 6, wouldn't Pete Carroll be here?
You would assume. I think that you pointed this out, or maybe Johnny did yesterday. It is Ohio State's Pro Day tomorrow,
which is just terrible timing.
They clearly have a lot of talent, but for the most part, it's going to be hard to avoid picking a Pro Day that's the same day as another big school. I mean, that's hard. And Boise State always kicks their Pro Day a little bit later in the cycle because they want to get that thing as close to the NFL draft as possible to make that last impression. And more than anything, it also allows guys that, you know, might have been dealing with injuries to fully recover and heal so they can put their best foot forward.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for it. They're going to have the media in a different area, I guess, because they're going to be there expecting a circus, so to speak. I saw yesterday when we were arriving to talk to Erik Chinander, I saw two people pushing in huge wagons with NFL Network swag on their stuff. So I'm told the NFL Network will be here, ESPN will be here. I don't know if either are actually, broadcasting live. I don't think they're streaming the pro day itself, but there will be reporters and cameras from both NFL Network and ESPN, among others, here. So we'll see if any national media members show up. Or
you can fall for those logos on the sides of those push carts you were talking about, but don't fall for the Seahawks logo on Johnny Mallory's polo. He is not a Seahawks scout.
I am wondering who's going to freak out. Who would be the, we saw Ken Griffey Jr. show up, and you guys both about pulled the hammy to go over to that side of the field. If Pete Carroll walks in that door, I mean, he's got a legendary career with the Seahawks and a history there. I mean, is Johnny going to be able to focus on pro day if Pete Carroll walks in?
No way. Definitely not. But the crazy thing is like, it's not unrealistic.
If he saw Kellen Moore or if it was Kellen Moore or Pete Carroll, who's Johnny walking over to shake hands with first?
Oh, Kellen. Yeah. Kellen. Which is wild to think that Kellen could be coming here as a head. I'm not predicting that or saying that he will, by the way. Wouldn't be like
if you're picking a pro day and you can go back to a place where you've been and if you're seriously considering anybody, I mean, the Chicago Bears head coach, like any of these teams we've heard, the Cowboys that might take him in the first round, wouldn't you want to lay your eyes yourself on him at the pro day?
Probably. I mean, you think about it, this is a big investment for whatever team decides to draft them, and it seems like Ashton's stock continues to rise. It's not like he was projected to go at 12 to the Cowboys, and now all of a sudden all the rumors you hear is him sliding back because he's a running back. You don't hear any of that. Like, if anything, it's that he might be going earlier, as early as maybe 6 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not like the biggest Raiders fan, BJ, but knowing how often we frequent Vegas, I would be perfectly okay with Ashton Jeanty being in Oakland Raiders. If we go there for a UNLV game or something in the future, maybe it means we extend our stay to Sunday and check out the Raiders game or something like that. So I would be okay with that.
Yes. For the record, it's the Raiders at 6. I've heard the Saints at 9, the Bears at 10, the Cowboys at 12 seem like 4 of the logical points. I'm not sure that he would make it past the Cowboys at 12 based on their history of liking Boise State players and needing a running back. I'm not sure, but that's another side story, and we're probably talking GMs and 4 or 5 scouts. I mean, we're not talking like 1 or 2 players per team here. We're talking some of these teams, Jay, might be a private jet with 7 or 8 people to come up here. So I'm expecting this to be an absolute show, and saw he got a nice meal last night at Barbacoa. I took out Tyler Crow and his family. I saw Mr. Crow posted a photo on Twitter, and Ashton got a nice meal at Barbacoa last night with Tyler Crow and company. So I was talking to Riley Smith. I know he's coming out. I mean, I know a lot of former players are going to want to come back, and guys that played or know Ashton are going to be in town, and there's going to be a big party maybe Wednesday night as well. So I know, all these guys are rooting for him and for all these guys to get through pro day on Wednesday. And, Prater was saying yesterday, he knows it's not typical, but like, why would Ashton Jeanty even work out? Like, if you're mentioning how high his stock is, like if you're already possibly going number 6, like what could you do that the Raiders would be like, or a team higher than that, or what, I don't know if it's ever happened before. And that's why I told him, but he's like, I don't care. He's like, what you just mentioned how much higher his stock has gotten. Like, it can only go down if he has a bad pro day, which he probably won't, but like, why even work out at this point was Mike Prater's thought. What would you say to that?
I don't know, man. It's up to Ash. I really don't know how to answer that, BJ. The only thing I will say is, like, even when he decided not to do some of the stuff at the NFL Combine, and I just think that there are people that automatically cling to narratives without knowing anything about the human or the player. And you kind of heard initially, like, I don't even want to validate some people's opinions over this, but like avoiding stuff or whatever it might be, and I'm Ashton Jeanty had 374 carries last year. Like he had over 2,000 yards rushing. If he didn't avoid anything, if anything, he went all in when he didn't have to, and so that would not be that would not be the case for Ashton Jeanty. You can pick another human being to have that opinion of in the NFL draft, but Ashton's been a kid that's always wanted all the smoke, and so if he doesn't do something, yeah, there's a strategy to it, but phenomenal player, worthy of being not just a first round pick, but the top half of the first round. And it's getting to be go time. Like we're not that far off from the NFL draft, and I'm excited to see where he winds up.
If he does do the 40-yard dash, what would you think a target number is for him?
Ashton can move, man. He's also a little bowling ball though, man. Not a little bowling ball, a big bowling ball. I don't know, but if he throws down anything in the 4.4s, that would be unbelievable in my opinion. I mean, like, yeah, that's what high 4.4s. I don't know. You also look at some of his speeds that he hit on the field last year, and kid's ridiculous. So I'm not exactly positive on that one in all honesty, BJ, but he can move, and that would be fun to. That would be probably one of the more memorable moments from this pro day is him lining up, and now you look over and you know that little moment, like there's a bunch of people in a room and it just goes silent, and it's probably because Ashton's about to do something that everybody really wants to witness, and then he does it.
I wouldn't mind seeing him on the bench press too.
Yeah, I agree.
That's going to be another one there in the weight room. Yeah, you're right with the 40 in the bench for how strong he apparently is, and you get however many reps. I mean, I feel bad for the guy that has to go after him. We'll just say that.
Oh, you always feel bad for that guy because they usually go in alphabetical order. So find the guy after the J, and that's just going to be a tough one. I can't remember who it was.
It's Cooper Jones.
Actually, I'll say this. I bet you Coop can get up some on the bench press. He's smaller statured, doesn't have super long levers or whatever. I actually think Coop will be okay. He's not going to put up Ashton Jeanty numbers, but I think the Coop might be okay on that. You just don't want to go from you don't want to see somebody go from 28 or 30 on the bench or something like that, and then you're like you do 8 or 9. Yeah. And we've seen that. And we've seen that before, and it's tough.
You get a DB out there that's not a wide receiver or someone that's not the strongest of guys, and they have to follow a lineman or somebody. We've. I
can't remember. I want to say it was even maybe after Scott Matlock went a few years ago, and Scott had an awesome pro day, man. I can't exactly remember. I think he put up 29 on the bench or something, and it was a good number. And I remember asking him afterwards. I was like, "Do you expect to hit that?" And he was like, "No, I was feeling it. It was pro day, and I think he maxed out by a couple of reps at 225. But yeah, the adrenaline was flowing, and Scott had an awesome pro day. But what else would you expect out of Scott Matlock, rising to the occasion when the pressure's on?
Now I'm expecting. We've had back of the draft heartbreak for Boise State, I guess you could say. Guys we thought would go 5th, 6th, 7th round that end up not getting drafted. Where is Ahmed Hassanin for you? Is he a lock to get drafted, or is he one of those guys that you'll never say never? What do you make of Ahmed's chances?
Gosh, I really feel like he's a lock. You just consider his whole story, and we spoke about this with Erik Chinander yesterday, BJ, and we asked him about pro day and what he thinks of Ahmed, and when NFL scouts call and ask him what does he want, making sure that he conveys to them. And everybody knows that he's a great player, high motor. You can see it when you watch him. But Erik told us one thing that he wants to remind NFL scouts is that Ahmed still has some rawness to his game, and he didn't use this necessarily that term. It's just the way that I interpreted it, and it's because he hasn't been playing the game that long, and he's really made this massive jump as a football player, considering he's only been playing the game for a few years. And that steep learning curve, in a good way, is not over yet. He's still only going to get better. You put him in an NFL, setting, you give him the resources that NFL players have, he's only going to go further all in my opinion. And something that I have confidence that Ahmed would accomplish too. This is no longer when you go to the NFL, no longer do you have the text messages or whatever from, the coordinators at Boise State that tell you, hey, be here at 6 a.m. We work out, at 6:30, and these are all the things that you need to do throughout the day in the off season. Those are all things that are up to you. And I have a lot of confidence that Ahmed will thrive in that setting in terms of taking care of business and making sure that, he sets a schedule that sets him up for success.
All right, final NFL draft question, and then we'll get to the actual action on the field. And I do want to talk a little basketball too.
Yeah.
Anybody else though, Jay? Whether it's I'll go through the list real quick: Jonah Dalmas, Ben Dooley, Herbert Gums, Cooper Jones, Sheldon Newton, Shea Oladipo, Rodney Robinson, Terrence Shive, Alexander Tubner, Tavion Woodard, and then the late addition of Cam Camper. Anybody else that has a legit shot here, whether it's get drafted or get into a camp that you're going to be looking at for you tomorrow?
Well, first off, when it comes to Cam Camper, and I believe we kind of, I don't say we predicted it, but we just trying to offer insight on what that whole transfer portal thing was about when he went in, and how there just wasn't a lot of validity to it. And despite the fact there was some other person out there, he might have been representing Cam, that's fine, but you can't go into the transfer portal if you don't have any eligibility. And I think there was some confidence there that, they could win a waiver or something like that. But Cam, as we mentioned, is in a different situation than a guy like Amarion McCoy, who also played at the JC level. Cam has already played a good amount of college ball at the 4-year level. And so he just wasn't going to get the same break from what we understood. And now he's coming back to Boise State to compete in their pro day. So an interesting little timeline there, but excited to see what Cam can do. Can he grab anybody's attention? I don't know if we'll learn, much more about Jonah Dalmas tomorrow, but he was a guy that came back with the full intention of getting drafted. And I think that you really look at 99% of his career, and he seems like a guy that should warrant an opportunity. It's hard to get drafted as a kicker, so that's not a make or break thing, in my opinion, for Jonah Dalmas. But he deserves a shot to kick in the National Football League, given his success at the college level.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Dalmas. I think Ben Dooley certainly is a guy that people are going to be looking at.
Yeah,
Camper. There's a couple.
I'll throw Shea and Tubes. I'm going to throw them on there just because I think that they have a versatile skill set. And so when you're a fringe guy, you have to do more than just, play a defensive position or an offensive position for that matter. And those are two guys that I believe could be, significant contributors on special teams in some way, shape, or form. And that's why you even look at a guy like Cam. Like, he had a great season last year for Boise State as a receiver. But if you're a fringe receiver, it really helps if you can return punts or return kicks, something like that. And that just wasn't really a part of his career. And, looking back, and I don't know if it's really part of his career moving forward. Doesn't mean he can't help out on special teams in some way, shape, or form. But,
yeah,
if I'm setting the over-under right now for Boise State players getting drafted, it's 2.
I like an even 2. I like that. That's yeah. All right.
I'm allowing you to push.
Right. That'll be which, with the way it's been going for me, I'd take a push any day these days.
Absolutely.
So that'll be tomorrow, 11 to 3. They'll start in the weight room, then make it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I don't believe anybody is streaming it live, but I know Jay, KTVB will be all over it. We'll have some video as well, so you can make sure you check KTVB all day tomorrow and watch BNN tomorrow as well. We'll have you covered. That's 11 to 3. We will have a nice little preview. We're going to have Brad Bedell and Michael Callahan. We'll get both sides of the ball. Brad Bedell, Michael Callahan will join me at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And we'll talk pro day memories and things and really get you locked in for this tomorrow. So looking forward to that. I do want to switch and talk a little basketball in a minute. We'll get back to football in the third segment. Little bit of news on social media yesterday, or fake news, I guess you should say. So we'll get to that here in a minute. But basketball, football talk still coming up here on BNN. I want to thank a couple sponsors that are making this show free of charge for you to watch on YouTube. And that starts with our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and RowePaint.com. All your painting needs, whether it's concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting. Highly recommend the fine work that's done by RowePaint.com, ROEPaint.com. Hit them up, our title sponsor, folks. You will not be disappointed. RowePaint.com. TacoBellWorks.com. They're hiring if you need a job. How about a local Taco Bell, Treasure Valley location? The SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, appreciate them for their support of Bronco Nation News. And again, they're hiring. Great food, great benefits, including free food while you work, half your wages the next day after your shift. Great promotional opportunities and benefits, and food's pretty darn good as well. So hit up Taco Bell, Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Trying to get a Tyson Degenhardt show in this week. ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. The Raines family made the switch, didn't know what we were missing, and once we did, we're so happy we did. Again, ICCU.com, the best banking experience you'll have. I highly recommend you make the switch today. Hey, don't forget the $5 meal deal going on over at Jackson's. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for just $5. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for $5 with their $5 meal deal. They also have the $3 meal deal going, the Tornado and a Gatorade water or fountain drink for $3. And don't forget, they have the 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night, using your Let's Go Rewards app. That's from our friends at Jackson's. Hey, the SpaTeam.com, Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Make sure you check out Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game, whether it's a pool table for the game room, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a spa for the back patio. They got you covered. Get more information online at the SpaTeam.com. The Blue and Orange Store, appreciate them. Travis Hawks, their support of Bronco Nation News. They got the clearance rack there at the front of the store. Best value in town, right there at the Boise Town Square Mall. 2nd floor next to Pro Image. All your jerseys, caps, bumper stickers, car flags, you name it. They got you covered, or you can order online anywhere in the world. And they've been around since that first Fiesta Bowl, folks, back in 2006. I know you got a lot of options for your Boise State gear, but support the folks that have been here since the beginning. That's the Blue and Orange Store online, the Blue and Orange Store.com. And Lithia Ford of Boise, a big supporter of ours as well. We appreciate Lithia Ford of Boise. They got to make way for some of their new 2025 models to get out there on the lot. So they got some great deals going on right now, whether it's an F-150, all the various options they have. Really appreciate Jim Sturk, Jamie Drake and company over at Lithia. And we talk about NIL and things, and Lithia Ford's right there at the top of the list, taking care of vehicles for Cage Casey, Roger Carrion, Matt Louder, some of these guys to help keep them in Boise. So return the favor for your next car or truck purchase. Make it at Lithia Ford of Boise. All right, Jay, I want to just talk basketball for a couple minutes here, and then we'll wrap up back on the current football team in the final segment as they are getting ready here in about 5 minutes to take the field for practice. We're going to hurry down there after the show and see part of that, and then we have some interviews today. But the Crown Tournament, Boise State did take the court yesterday for their first practice as they get back at it. Did see every player accounted for in the photos. And Pearson Carmichael might not have been in one of the photos, but I was told he was out there. So at least for the first day, everybody is out there. I'm told that probably will change here in the near future. I don't think there should be any surprises, but it does look like indications are Chris Lockett Jr. Will at some point here enter the transfer portal. Dylan Anderson could follow him in the near future. So my understanding is right now they're not expected to lose any of their key rotational players, at least through the Crown Tournament. But be on the lookout. Probably going to see, as I'm sure you've heard, Chris Lockett Jr. And potentially Dylan Anderson will indeed probably enter the transfer portal at some point this week. Lockett probably is more likely from what I'm hearing. Not a huge loss. I know they liked him a lot, redshirted him, and just for whatever reason couldn't find a role. And then once he went to the bench, unfortunately, the team started winning and, just probably wasn't happy with his role, but not expecting Chris Lockett Jr. to be on the team much longer.
Yeah. I also think that the NCAA, I know that they've adjusted the transfer portal windows and stuff like that this year. They got to do something again when it comes to college hoops, BJ, because on a even broader scale here or scope, it feels so weird that teams in the Sweet 16 are, can potentially lose players to the transfer portal. I know some of these guys are not impact players. It's not like you have starters going in, but at some point in time, man, who knows what happens when it comes to that stuff. If there's enough money out there, maybe it does pull a starter out of a Sweet 16 type opportunity in order to go into the transfer portal. I just don't think. I think that situation needs to be avoided, and I think they should really look at that again. Even in Boise State's case, like they're going to play in a tournament, and the transfer portal's open at this point in time. So, can they lose players? Yeah, I just maybe wait until after the national championship game is over. I know that really starts to press the timeline on decisions that need to be made and stuff like that, because now all of a sudden you really are kind of getting into the latter part of that semester.
Well,
But
guys are probably finishing up the semester of school where they're at anyway, so it would make
that's probably
sense.
true.
Why are you in such a rush?
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. I think there's a sense of urgency because there are only so many opportunities, and if a big school misses on one guy or they're reluctant to wait on somebody, they got to go to the next. And it's pretty crazy when you hear the money that really is being thrown around out there, and it also makes you realize that Tyson Degenhardt is a freaking unicorn, man. He really is. That guy, what do you think, BJ? How much money could Tyson Degenhardt have got if he went into the transfer portal at any point in time throughout his college career?
I'm going to go back and say what I said last week. I think with you, people like Ray are accusing me of having incorrect whatever reporting, whatever. I can 100% guarantee you, unless the literal source and those close to him and his agent and others around the situation are just flat out lying, that a guy like RJ Keene right now could get $100,000 in the transfer portal. And you look at a guy that very valuable piece to a team, but averaged like 2 or 3 points a game, was not much of a scorer at all, was more of a role player, rebounder, defender, very valuable piece. I'm not trying to diminish RJ Keene's role at all, but if a guy like RJ Keene could potentially go to a St. Mary's or somewhere in the Conference USA and get $100,000, Tyson Degenhardt right now could get $1 million or whatever. I mean, easily.
I think easily. If Nick Davidson can go out and get $1 million, Tyson Degenhardt could absolutely command that type of money.
My understanding is he got somewhere around a fourth of that, last year. I mean, it was, I don't know the exact number, and I'm not trying to put his finances out there publicly, but I mean, he got a couple $100,000 probably. It wasn't like he was making, $700,000-800,000 last year, and he very easily,
which is great. I mean, good for him. Like a few years ago, he couldn't get anything, but the point is that if he at any point in time went to the transfer portal, he could have commanded significantly more money from another school, and instead, he stayed at Boise State. And I know that they missed the NCAA tournament for a fourth consecutive, they missed the NCAA tournament, stopping their streak at 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments, all of which he was previously a part of. I know that was really going to be the cherry on the top of this thing in terms of determining, who that ultimate GOAT was in Boise State men's basketball history. But the guy never missed a game. He's got 97 wins. He won, I can't remember off the top of my head here, BJ, something like 74% of his conference games all time.
Yeah.
He's 53-10 at home. He's already broken the school career scoring record. If they go on a run at the Crown, he very well could break the single season scoring record, which is 661 by Reggie Larry. He's currently at 610. So 51 points with potentially 4 games left. Tyson could absolutely get to that total.
See him get over 2,000 too.
29 points from 2K. It's crazy. I mean, like, that guy is a unicorn, and I'm not,
man.
What's that?
Same with Ashton Jeanty. Like these
guys. I know the one thing I will say, and the one, and I'm not taking anything away from Ashton Jeanty. I'm just trying to offer a little more perspective on Tyson Degenhardt here. Ashton, football's a physical sport, and we know that. And so if you pass on opportunities to make money, you might never have them again. I get that. Ashton pushed all the chips to the center of the table, had a Heisman Trophy worthy season, and backed it all up and then some with over 2,600 yards rushing. But I think we were all confident that, there was a payday, a significant payday looming for Ashton Jeanty, and he went out and he absolutely earned it. But in a month, in 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever, Ashton Jeanty's going to sign a deal, probably, a rookie contract that I'm guessing somewhere around 20 million, not including signing bonus even. And Tyson Degenhardt's an incredible human, but like that future, at least imminently, does not loom for him. And so for him to pass on $1 million payday or whatever it might be, and I want to make sure I'm phrasing that correctly, because I don't know if Tyson Degenhardt passed on it.
Future is not his long-term. Tyson Degenhardt's long-term financial future was not quite as set as Ashton Jeanty.
Right. And even like, and I don't even,
he's going to make some money, but he doesn't have the $10 million signing bonus waiting for him.
Right. And I don't even want to say that Tyson passed on anything, because he never went into the portal. He never tested anything. But like, if he wanted to, that was probably there for him. And I feel like
I was going to say, he claims that he didn't get a lot of calls just because people knew he was a unicorn and knew that wasn't his case. And he said a lot of people didn't have his number and all that. But he very easily. I mean, heck, I heard the day after Pearson Carmichael had 21 points the other day, he had schools calling him the very next day. Like, this is just ridiculous. It's crazy. It's got to change somehow. I mean, as of 9 p.m. last night, Jay, one day, not even the full 24 hours of the transfer portal, I saw Jeff Goodman's tweet. There were 14% of all Division I scholarship players were in the transfer portal. I mean, 1 out of 8 or whatever it is. And that's, 1.5 per team on average on the very first day. And this thing, my wife said yesterday, how long is this thing open for? I said a month. And that was the problem with like a Chibuzo Abo, because they say they're good. And then 2 days left in the window, whatever it is, the right person tells them what they want to hear, or maybe a school's trying to get somebody on Boise State's roster and they're saying no, and okay, they come back in 3 weeks with a better offer. I mean, it's just a month is a very long time. I hope they can keep everybody they want to. It sounds like they feel like they can, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of poaching, a lot of calls coming on, and they're fending off guys with a stick. And I do think that the bigger picture here that hopefully Leon will talk about at some point is just the need to really get this. And I mean, you see what Utah State did. They had a fundraiser last week and raised over $1 million for NIL, like one evening, like for next year's team, like in addition to what they had, which by the way, it sounds like Calhoun is staying at Utah State this morning. I saw a report there. He's getting $2 million a year and they're raising their NIL. I mean, people want to know why some of these teams keep winning and why Boise State, we can talk all we want about Jeremiah Dickey raising the budget and stuff, Jay. Maybe this is a tangent or a thing for another day, but the NIL, Boise State still, they're doing what they can, but they still severely are behind several schools, even in this conference. And as the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to be harder and harder for a Boise State on the basketball side to put together a roster with the amount of money that's being thrown at some of these other players and other schools have. And Boise State's done a remarkable job in recent years, as you said, hanging on to the Tyson Degenhardts, keeping their talent. But all it takes now is one school to come in and offer a crazy money to an Andrew Meadow or somebody, and the whole thing's blown up. I mean, it is scary times for the next 3-4 weeks here, but it also shows the bigger picture that Boise State, as good as they're doing to increase this, they really do have a ways to go to try to get to a level they need to be at on the NIL side.
Well, and that goes back to my initial point about Tyson Degenhardt, because it's not only, being able to retain a guy like him, but there's the trickle-down effect if you lose a guy like him, because now all of a sudden your chances of winning look significantly different. And now those fringe guys that you were, weighing their future, all of a sudden might say, you know what? I'm going to go chase the money because I feel like I also have a better chance to win somewhere else. And so that's why him staying at Boise State was so monumental. And hopefully he gets to go out as good as he possibly can at the Crown in, a little over a week from now. And that guy deserves to be appreciated as much as anybody that's ever put on that Boise State basketball uniform, in my opinion.
All right, Jay. Oh,
no, I just say you're exactly right. All it takes is a phone call, and I think that Buzo is the perfect example, and we can see how impactful that one phone call can be late in the process, because Chibuzo Abo was exactly, literally exactly everything about Buzo was exactly what this team needed this year. And I firmly believe if Buzo stays, because Alvaro was coming, that decision was made before Buzo. If anything, I think it means that Dylan Anderson's probably not here, because that's where their stuff starts to shift. But if Buzo, his 3-point shooting, his ability to defend, his leadership, his experience, I'm telling you, I firmly believe if they have Buzo on the roster this year, they're probably somewhere along the lines of. I mean, I really think BJ. I'll go 28-6, and in the NCAA tournament for sure. If they have Buzo this year, and they probably win the Mountain West Conference tournament title at the very least, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
Buzo on Neat Clifford is much different than what Boise State was able to throw at him. So maybe it's a stupid, baseless claim. I get it, but that's just my belief.
One other thing I did want to bring up, Josh says there's an elephant in the room that's not being addressed. He says, what's up with the Xavier tweet? Yesterday, there was a tweet. I retweeted it. I'm going to blame Nathan Carroll because he retweeted it first, and I saw it. It said Leon Rice was a candidate at Xavier. I looked at the guy's account real briefly. He's got a lot of followers, says he covers something for the Herald, and I did retweet it and said Leon Rice, appears to be a candidate at Xavier per this report. Within about 3 minutes, I got multiple texts saying that is a fake account. It is not real. So I deleted the post while I continued to look for transparency onto whether or not it was real or not. Because I deleted it, people started saying that, oh, Leon's camp must have got to you and told you to take it down. And, oh, why'd you delete the tweet? It must have been, that I'm hiding something for Leon Rice or whatever, and now I'm going to get the invite on Easter Sunday and all this kind of stuff. No, nothing. It was a fake tweet. The account looks real. If you look at it, the guy does a pretty good job of portraying himself as a sports writer, but he is not. And so maybe Leon Rice is a candidate, Xavier. We have no idea, but it was not because of that report. That was a fake report, and so that's why it was deleted. We're not hiding it or not talking about it so it doesn't happen or whatever. No, it wasn't true. It was fake. Leon Rice is not, at least according to that fake report, a candidate at Xavier. So that's why it was deleted, because it wasn't true and it was fake, and that's why we weren't talking about it. And so who knows? Nico Medved went to Minnesota. Does sound like Calhoun might be staying. We'll see. There's certainly been a little bit of shakeup on the coaching front in the Mountain West, but at least to this point, Jay, I would not worry too much right now about Leon Rice leaving.
Yeah. Everything can change, but honestly, it's hard to predict anything. But the guy has been here for 15 years.
Yeah.
And he does return some nice pieces next year.
And if there ever was a time to leave, you could say, hey, Tyson Degenhart right now going out,
Yeah.
like this might be a natural transition point. So yeah, I'm not saying he's not a candidate, some other job, who knows, or what his thinking is, but that specific tweet was a fake tweet. And so that's why I deleted it, not to hide it for Leon Rice or his family or whatever else. But there has been the transfer portal, Jay, like we would expect probably. I mean, Colorado State's going to look completely different next year. Yeah. I hope that Ali Farouk-Namesh, who did break my heart at Kansas with that shot for Northern Iowa. I sat by him at the Mountain West tournament like 2 years ago, and I've gotten to know him a little bit and communicate a little. And he's a really good dude, and it sounds like he's the leader in the clubhouse to maybe try to keep some continuity there. If he gets the CSU job, maybe some of those guys would stay. I don't know, but they might lose some guys. They've obviously lost Clifford. They've lost their coach. We just saw Magoo and Guath go in the transfer portal following Nick Boyd for San Diego State. Obviously, Davidson now has entered the transfer portal at Nevada. UNLV is losing guys. Now they're going to get guys too. Like they've proven it. Yep. San Diego State lost all 5 starters last year and brought in Nick Boyd and brought in some of these guys. So I'm not saying they're all going to be, terrible next year. But right now, I mean, the roster shape and just the whole transfer portal and NIL and everything, the Mountain West schools are just getting pilgrimaged right now, it looks like, and it's interesting times from that front.
Goes back to my initial point about Tyson Degenhart and why he was so special. You see a lot of these guys getting into the transfer portal. Nick Davidson's been a lifer at Nevada. He's meant a lot to that program, a lot to that team. And nothing against him, by the way. Like if Nick Davidson can go get $1 million to continue his college career, good for him. I also think that's a situation where, as he weighs things out, and I'm really not trying to speak for Nick Davidson because I don't know nothing about the kid, but just looking at it from 10,000 feet or whatever you want to say, I think that's a situation where, not only can he make money, but he might put himself in a better position to win games as a team. Right now, Nevada's, I mean, that roster. Steve Alford's got some work to do in order to build that thing back up. And he's done it. So it's not to say that he can't, because he's done it. But you even look at Brian Dutcher, man, and he spoke about it. I think it was yesterday. I read a quote from him, and he seems to be very sympathetic, I guess you could say, towards the current situation, what these players are dealing with. And either way, like, I'm sure, behind the scenes, these guys gripe about it, but publicly, he's saying it is what it is. It's like you bring in an intern and they get really good at their job, and then somebody else at a bigger company wants to pay them more money. Like, how can you be mad at them?
Yeah.
And that's kind of his current take on it, which is nice. It is.
It's just not the way college basketball used to be or was meant to be.
Yeah, so it's still kind of hard to have that perspective, I would say. But man,
hey, all I want to see is Chibuzo Abo against Boise State in the championship of the Crown here.
Right? If Guath and Boyd went back to San Diego State next year, though,
yeah,
I mean, they would have had a squad.
Yeah,
Senior leader at point guard, this quick rising 7-footer that can also shoot threes and block shots and do everything. And they had some really nice pieces coming back around those guys too. Like I think they would have been. I mean, unless Dent and everybody stays in New Mexico, which sounds like might be a possibility. I don't know. But San Diego State probably would have been picked the preseason favorite to win the league again next year. And now you look at it and you're like, oh, I don't know. Now Dutch is awesome, does a great job there. They'll figure it out. And he retooled the roster last year to get him back into the NCAA tournament this year. But that's those are two tough losses for San Diego State.
Well, I joke about the championship of the Crown tournament. It would be fun to see Boise State playing this weekend in the weekend in the Final Four and the championship game. And you can see it as well. Cool. I put this on Twitter yesterday. We are giving away a trip to the Crown tournament. This is going to be a lot of fun. And here's what we decided to do here. Circa reached out. They had some rooms available. So BNN is going to pop for the plane flight. You get a room at Circa. You get a food and beverage credit. Circa is also throwing in tickets to the tournament. And here's how this works. If you are a current paying BNN subscriber, you get one free entry. So you can email me, rains@bronconationnews.com, and I will give you your free entry. If you want to purchase any additional raffle tickets here, it's $20 each. The proceeds are going to benefit the Idaho Youth Sports Commission and also my son's baseball team, MYB Select 10U Beaver. We are going to help pay for one of the travel tournaments to Washington this summer. So if you are interested in going, now here's the cool part. If you can make it the entire 8 days, Jay, Circa will give you a room for 8 nights for the entire Crown tournament, and they will give you tickets for the entire tournament. As long as you
All right, fine, I'll do it, BJ.
As long as you can go, they will let you have a room. So you can stay there potentially for 8 days if you're able to work remotely down there at Circa. Now, if you only want to go for the Monday and Wednesday games, they'll give you 3 nights in the early part of the week. You only want to go down for the next weekend, even if Boise State loses, go down that weekend. The Final Four is going on. You can gamble and watch it at Circa and have fun that weekend. So you get to pick which part of this Crown tournament you want to go to. And like I said, if you want to go all 8 days, they will give you a room for 8 nights for the Crown. If you want in, I'm not doing all 900 subscribers because I know most of you can't go at the last minute here. So you get a free entry. You just have to tell me you want in. We're going to draw this on Friday with Jay. On Friday morning, we're going to draw this. So only a couple days here. But if you are not a BNN paying subscriber, you can still pay the $20 for the raffle tickets. I need to make sure I say that. So if you're not a BNN subscriber and you want to make a $20 charitable donation to the Idaho Youth Sports Commission and to help out my son's baseball team, $20, you Venmo me at BJ Rains, and we will make a list. I'll show everybody who's in the little wheel before we do the drawing and how many entries you have. It's all going to be public and on the up and up here. So let me know if you want in. Again, it's $20 for the raffle tickets for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission and for my son's baseball team. And if you are a BNN subscriber, you get a free entry. You just have to email me, rains@bronconationnews.com. Tell me that you want in, and we'll get you in there. And even if you are a BNN subscriber and you want your free one, you can also purchase additional raffle tickets that for the charitable donation to have more chances to win. We will draw this on Friday, and then you could be leaving as early as Sunday if you're available. It's going to be an expensive last-minute plane flight we'll be buying for you, so we're hoping to at least cover the plane flight costs with the raffle tickets. That's part of the reason for that. But if you've never been to Circa, or the cool part, Jay, is the actual Final Four will be going on down there during this the weekend part of this. So even if Boise State loses and you can only go on the weekend, you can just go hang out at Circa for the weekend and watch the Final Four there and maybe go to the actual Crown tournament. So email me, Rains@BroncoNationNews.com. All right. I do want to thank real quick Bauscher Real Estate. Number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher, BauscherRealEstate.com. Check him out online, BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. Locations all across the state of Idaho, surrounding states. Get more information, ShopRidleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service, TCS, TransCompService.com. You want to get into the trucking industry, hit up TransCompService.com. Lean Feast, LeanFeastMeridian.com. Great, healthy eating options. They deliver. It's good in your microwave for 2 minutes. You're eating steak, shrimp, chicken, fish. Get more information online at LeanFeastMeridian.com. And speakpipe.com/BNN. Leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox line. We'll play that on an upcoming show. Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a re-roof or repair and estimate inspection, hit up mysignatureroofing.com. All right, last thing, Jay, we're heading down to practice. We talked to Erik Chinander yesterday. The full video, we've got it up on YouTube. I know you guys have it up as well. But any takeaways, Erik Chinander, the defense, wherever you want to go?
Well, honestly, it's just time to roll up your sleeves and figure out what you got to do to try to replicate your 55 sack performance from a year ago. And I guess my biggest takeaway is Erik Chinander super happy to still be at Boise State. He kind of went into length about why this is a good place and a good opportunity for him. His family loves living in the city of trees, and again, I'm making my own assumptions. Nothing he said or alluded to yesterday, but from what I heard, he definitely had interest at other schools, and those other schools could have paid him significantly more money. And he got a nice pay raise to stay at Boise State for Boise State standards.
Highest assistant coach ever, correct?
Correct. The highest paid assistant coach in not only program history, but school history. I guess that would make sense that it would be program, it's football. So obviously they'll have the highest paid assistant coach. But he got a nice raise to stay at Boise State, and deservingly so. When you look at the production from the defense last year, they got better in areas as the season went along. And I think if you really go back and look at that thing, there were moments later in the season where the defense made some stops and really helped them. I mean, look at the Nevada game. I know that's not like they weren't taking on a powerhouse or anything, but the defense did a good job that game when the offense wasn't clicking on all cylinders. And again, he really likes it here. I think he sees a future here, and I think the Boise State's happy to have him back for sure.
Yeah, the full interview's up. We had a lot of good stuff talking about some of the position changes with Rip and Banks and some of these guys, and maybe we'll get into that Friday. We got a couple weeks of spring ball here to really dive into that, but we're short on time with practice going on, Jay. Appreciate you for switching it up with parental duties here on your off day too to make it work, but it's a lot going on right now. Basketball, football, and I'm sure we'll have some basketball interviews at some point this week. We got football interviews today after practice. We got practice, pro day tomorrow. I mean, it's for a late March week. There's a ton going on here, Jay. So we appreciate you as always jumping on, and we'll do it again on Friday, man.
Sounds good, buddy.
Jay Tust, appreciate him, sports director over at KTVB. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We're heading down to practice. We'll have some interviews. We'll get those posted as well. Go email me if you want to get in the contest, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News live here on a Taco Bell Tuesday, BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.